Is this some kind of test? Chen stared at the little boy sitting across from her in the glass-walled conference room, his legs swinging nervously beneath the oversized leather chair. He couldn't have been more than 7 years old, wearing a slightly rumpled button-down shirt and clutching a clipboard like his life depended on it. "Miss Chen," he said with impressive formality, consulting his notes, "can you tell me why you want to work at Anderson Architecture?" Maya blinked, her prepared interview answers evaporating. This wasn't in any career guide she'd ever read. The receptionist had said Mr. Anderson was running late and sent someone to get started. She'd assumed that meant an HR representative, not a child conducting the interview. "Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from. We love knowing how far our stories travel." "I'm sorry," Maya said carefully, setting down her portfolio. "Are you supposed to be here?" The boy's shoulders sagged slightly. "I know I'm not a real interviewer, but Dad's really stressed about finding someone good, and I wanted to help." He looked up at her with eyes that held far too much worry for someone his age. "The last 3 people quit. I don't want him to be sad again." Maya's professional guard lowered slightly. "Your dad is Mr. Anderson." "Yeah, I'm Ethan." He extended his small hand for a handshake, and Maya couldn't help but smile as she shook it. "I've been to a lot of interviews with him. I know most of the questions. Most 7-year-olds spend their afternoons at the playground," Maya observed gently. "I'm 8, Ethan corrected with dignity. "And I like being with my dad, even if he works a lot." There was something in his voice, a loneliness that resonated with Maya's own childhood memories of waiting for her workaholic parents to come home. "Okay, Ethan," Maya said, deciding to play along. "Ask me your questions." His face brightened immediately. He consulted his clipboard with renewed enthusiasm. "Do you know how to use AutoCAD?" "Yes, I've been using it for 6 years. Can you work with difficult clients?" "I worked retail through college. I once had a customer throw a shoe at me because we didn't have it in purple. I survived." Ethan's eyes widened. "Did you throw it back?" "No," Maya laughed. "That's not very professional." "That's good," he said seriously, making a note. "Dad says professionalism is important." He chewed his lip, then asked quietly, "Do you plan on leaving to start your own company?" The question caught Maya off guard. It was oddly specific. "Not in the near future." "Why?" "That's what the last lady did. And the one before her took a job in New York. And the one before that." Ethan trailed off, his small face troubled. They were all really good, and Dad was happy. But then they left and he had to work even more hours to cover their projects. Maya's heart squeezed. She was beginning to understand why this child was sitting here playing interviewer instead of being at after-school care somewhere. "Ethan," she said gently, "can I ask you a question?" He nodded. "Why is it so important to you that your dad finds the right person?" Ethan was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing the edge of his clipboard. When he spoke, his voice was small. "Because when Dad's not at work, he's really fun. He builds Lego cities with me and makes funny voices when he reads stories. But lately he's at work all the time, even when he's home. He falls asleep on the couch with his laptop. He forgets to eat dinner." Maya felt a lump form in her throat. "And you think if he hires someone good, he'll have more time with you?" "Miss Rodriguez, she was one of the ones who left. She told me that Dad's really talented, but he can't do everything alone. She said he needed a real partner, not just an employee." Ethan looked up at Maya with desperate hope. "Are you a partner kind of person?" Before Maya could answer, the conference room door burst open. A man rushed in, slightly disheveled, his tie loosened and his dark hair falling over his forehead. He was younger than Maya expected, maybe mid-30s, with the kind of exhausted eyes that spoke of too many late nights and too much coffee. "Ethan!" His voice was a mix of relief and exasperation. I've been looking everywhere for you. Mrs. Patterson said you disappeared from the reading room. He stopped abruptly, finally noticing Maya. Oh God, you're the 3 o'clock interview. Guilty, Maya said, standing. James Anderson looked between his son and the candidate, horror dawning on his face. Ethan, please tell me you didn't. I was helping, Ethan said quickly. You were late, and I know how stressed you are. And I thought, buddy, James said, running a hand through his hair. We've talked about this. You can't just insert yourself into business meetings. But you always say I'm a good judge of character. That's different from conducting job interviews. Despite his words, there was no real anger in James's voice, only tired affection. He turned to Maya, his expression apologetic. Miss Chen, I am so sorry. This is wildly unprofessional. I had a client emergency, and Ethan was supposed to be in the building's childcare area. And somehow, he asked better questions than some actual interviewers I've had. Maya interrupted, surprising herself. He's very thorough. James blinked. You're not upset? Maya considered. By all rights, she should be. This was bizarre, inappropriate, and completely outside standard hiring protocol. But looking at Ethan's hopeful face and James's exhausted one, she found she wasn't upset at all. She was curious. I'm not upset, she said. Though I would like to complete the actual interview, if possible. Of course. Absolutely. James turned to his son. Ethan, go back to Mrs. Patterson. We'll talk about boundaries later. Ethan slid off the chair, clutching his clipboard. Before he left, he looked back at Maya. I think you should hire her, Dad. She didn't get mad about the shoe. After he was gone, James sank into a chair, looking mortified. I don't even know what to say. That has never happened before. He said the last 3 people quit, Maya said, taking her seat again. That's hard on a company. James's jaw tightened. It's been a difficult year. We landed some major projects, which is great, but I've been chronically understaffed. Every time I train someone, get them integrated into our workflow, they get poached by a bigger firm or decide to go out on their own. He met her eyes. Ethan's right, I need a partner, not just an employee. Someone invested in building something together, not just padding their resume. That's what I want, Maya said honestly. I've worked at 3 different firms and they all treated junior architects like interchangeable parts. I want to be somewhere I can actually contribute ideas, where creativity matters more than billable hours. This firm is small, James warned. It's just me, 2 part-time contractors, and a receptionist who works 3 days a week. The projects are interesting, but the resources are limited. You'd be wearing a lot of hats. I like hats, Maya said, then realized how ridiculous that sounded. I mean, I like variety. I don't want to spend my career rendering other people's visions. I want to design. Something shifted in James's expression, a flicker of hope, quickly tempered. Why did you leave your last position? Maya took a breath. My boss told me I'd never be lead architect on a project because I didn't have the right presence. When I pushed back, he said I should be grateful to be employed at all, given my background. She met James's eyes steadily. I'm a woman of color in a field dominated by white men. I'm used to being underestimated. But I'm done accepting it. James nodded slowly. I left my previous firm for similar reasons. They wanted me to design cookie-cutter commercial spaces. When I proposed something innovative, they said clients don't pay for risks. He smiled slightly. So I took the risk myself. Started this company with savings and hope, and maybe 10% of a business plan. How long ago? 5 years. Ethan was 3. His expression softened and ached simultaneously. His mother passed away when he was 18 months old. Aneurysm. No warning. I'm so sorry, Maya said quietly. Starting the business was partly therapy, James admitted. something to pour myself into besides grief. But lately, I'm realizing that I've poured so much into work that I'm not giving Ethan what he needs. He shouldn't be conducting interviews because he's desperate for me to have time for him. The honesty was disarming. Maya had never had an interviewer be so vulnerable. Can I be honest too? She asked. Please. I'm tired, Maya said. I'm 29 and I've been grinding since college, trying to prove I belong in every room I enter. I took jobs I hated because they looked good on paper. I dated someone for 3 years who kept saying marriage was eventually, until I realized eventually meant never. She surprised herself with the admission. When I saw your firm's posting, something about it felt different. Like maybe this could be a place where I didn't have to perform constantly. James studied her for a long moment. Your portfolio is impressive. Your references raved about your technical skills and creativity. On paper, you're overqualified for this position. Maya's heart sank. Here it came, the rejection dressed up as a compliment. But, James continued, what I need isn't someone overqualified. I need someone who wants to build something real, who's okay with messy and imperfect, who won't bail when a bigger firm comes calling. He paused. I need someone who won't mind that sometimes my kid crashes meetings because childcare fell through. I won't lie, I don't know much about kids, Maya said. But Ethan seems great. Unusual, but great. He's the best thing I've ever done, James said simply. Better than any building I'll ever design. There was something in his voice, a depth of love that Maya recognized from her own parents, despite their flaws. Whatever else James Anderson was, he was a devoted father. I want this job, Maya said. Not because it's prestigious, or because it pays the most though. I do need to pay rent, but because I think we might actually be able to create something meaningful together. I'm not looking for a stepping stone. I'm looking for a place to put down roots. James extended his hand across the table. When can you start? Maya started the following Monday, and within a week, she understood why the previous associates had quit. James Anderson was brilliant, creative, and completely disorganized. His desk was an archaeological site of coffee cups and sketches. He scheduled meetings and forgot them. He started projects with passionate intensity, then got distracted by new ideas. But he was also funny, and genuinely excited about design in a way that reminded Maya why she'd chosen this career in the first place. And then there was Ethan. The 8-year-old had appointed himself Maya's unofficial guide. He showed her where the good pens were hidden, warned her that the coffee maker had a vendetta against everyone, and explained his dad's moods with surprising accuracy. When he's quiet and staring at the wall, he's problem-solving. Don't interrupt, Ethan advised seriously. When he's humming, he's happy with how something's going. And when he starts reorganizing his desk, he's stressed. That's very observant, Maya said. I've had a lot of practice. Ethan paused. Do you think you'll stay? The question hit harder than it should have. I'm planning to, yes. That's what Ms. Rodriguez said too. Maya knelt down to Ethan's eye level. I can't promise I'll be here forever. Life is unpredictable. But I can promise I'm not looking for an exit strategy. I'm here because I want to be. Ethan studied her face with unsettling intensity for a child. Finally, he nodded. Okay, I believe you. It became a rhythm. Maya arrived early, organized the chaos James created overnight, and started each day with a plan. James arrived with Ethan, got his son settled with breakfast and homework, then dove into whatever project had captured his imagination. They worked surprisingly well together. Where James was conceptual and sweeping, Maya was detail-oriented and practical. Where he saw grand visions, she saw structural realities. They challenged each other, pushed back, compromised, and created designs that were better than either could have done alone. You're really good at this, James said one evening, 3 weeks in. They were alone in the office, working late on a proposal. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch in James's office, covered with Maya's jacket. At what? Architecture or managing you? Maya teased. Both. He smiled, and Maya noticed not for the first time that when he smiled like that, without the weight of stress, he was actually quite handsome. She immediately pushed the thought away. Office romances were a terrible idea, and he was her boss, and he had a kid, and she was here to build a career, not complicate her life. You make it easy, she said, keeping her tone professional. You actually listen to ideas instead of just waiting to talk. That's a low bar. You'd be surprised how many people can't clear it. James was quiet for a moment, then said, Ethan likes you. I like him too. He's a special kid. He is. James's expression turned wistful. His mom would have loved seeing who he's becoming. Claire was brilliant a photographer. She saw beauty in everything. He gestured at the framed photos on his wall, black and white images of buildings, bridges, light through windows. These are hers. Maya stood to look closer. The photos were stunning architectural subjects captured with an artist's eye. She was incredibly talented. She was. We met in college. I was studying architecture. She was in fine arts. I'd design buildings and she'd photograph them. We were going to collaborate professionally after graduation. His voice caught slightly. We got engaged, got pregnant accidentally but happily, got married at City Hall because she refused to wait for a big wedding. Ethan was born, and for 18 months life was chaotic and perfect. And then? Maya asked softly. And then one Tuesday morning, she said she had a headache. By Tuesday evening she was gone. James rubbed his face. Brain aneurysm. The doctors said it was genetic, undetectable, nothing anyone could have done. But it didn't feel like nothing. It felt like the universe had ripped away my future. I can't imagine, Maya whispered. The first year was survival mode. Feed Ethan, change Ethan, keep Ethan alive while trying not to drown in grief. Starting the business was year 2, something to focus on besides the empty space Claire left. But lately, he trailed off. Lately? Maya prompted. Lately, I'm realizing that surviving isn't the same as living. Ethan deserves a dad who's present, not just physically here. And I deserve... He stopped, looking uncertain. I don't know. Permission to move forward, maybe. Maya understood that hesitation intimately. After my ex and I broke up, my mom kept asking when I'd start dating again. Like there was a timer, and once it expired, I was supposed to be ready. But grief doesn't work on a schedule. Neither does healing. No, James agreed. It doesn't. They fell into silence, the kind that felt comfortable rather than awkward. On the couch, Ethan stirred, mumbling something about dragons in his sleep. I should get him home, James said. Thank you for staying late. It's my job. It's above and beyond your job, James corrected. The other associates never. He stopped himself. Sorry, I shouldn't compare. It's okay. I'm curious what I'm doing differently. James considered this. You care. Not just about the projects, but about all of it. When Ethan showed you his school art project yesterday, you actually looked at it. You asked him questions. The last person just nodded and went back to their computer. It was a good art project, Maya said. That cardboard castle had excellent structural integrity. James laughed. See? That's what I mean. As he gathered his sleeping son, Maya found herself not wanting the evening to end, which was ridiculous. She was tired. She should go home. But there was something about the quiet office, the shared confidences, the feeling of being part of something meaningful. Same time tomorrow? She asked. You don't have to work these hours, Maya. I know I have a tendency to camp here, but I like it here, Maya interrupted. Is that weird? No, James said softly, Ethan's head on his shoulder. It's not weird at all. The months unfolded like pages in a story Maya, didn't know she was writing. She learned that James sang off-key in the office when he thought he was alone. That Ethan was allergic to strawberries and obsessed with dinosaurs. That James's favorite food was pizza. That he'd claim it was something sophisticated if clients asked. That Ethan had nightmares sometimes about his mom disappearing. And James would hold him and promise he'd never leave. She learned that she fit into their little universe in ways she hadn't expected. When James forgot lunch, Maya ordered extra of hers. When Ethan struggled with math homework, Maya sat with him until it clicked. When James doubted a design direction, Maya talked him through it, pushed back when needed, supported when necessary. The firm was growing. They won a bid for a community center, then a sustainable housing project, then a renovation of a historic theater. Maya's designs were as prominent as James's on the proposals. They were truly partners. "We should update the business cards," James said one afternoon. "Maya Chen, associate architect, doesn't really capture what you do here." "What would capture it?" Maya asked, amused. "Partner," James said simply. "If you want it. Profit sharing, equity, decision-making authority, the whole thing." Maya stared at him. "James, I've been here 6 months. And in 6 months, you've transformed this place. You've brought organization, creativity, and stability. More than that, you've—" He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "You've made it feel less lonely." Something shifted in the air between them. Maya became acutely aware of how close they were standing. How James was looking at her with an expression that wasn't entirely professional. "Dad, Maya!" Ethan burst into the office, shattering the moment. "Mrs. Patterson said there's ice cream downstairs. Can we go?" "It's almost dinner time," James said reflexively. "Please?" Ethan deployed his most devastating puppy dog eyes. "Maya hasn't tried the chocolate peanut butter yet. It's really good." "Is this a conspiracy?" James asked. "Yes," Ethan said cheerfully. "Is it working?" James looked at Maya, who shrugged with a smile. "I do like ice cream." "Fine, but you're eating vegetables at dinner, buddy." As they walked to the ice cream shop, Ethan between them, holding both their hands, Maya caught James's eye over the boy's head. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that they'd crossed some invisible line from colleagues to something more complicated. That night, after Ethan was in bed, James texted her. "Thank you for today. And every day. I meant what I said about the partnership. Think about it?" Maya stared at her phone, her heart doing complicated things. She was falling for him. Falling for both of them. The realization was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. She typed and deleted several responses before settling on, "I will. Thank you for trusting me." His response came quickly. "I do. More than you know." The autumn brought changes. Maya officially became partner. Her name went on the door, on the business cards, on the contracts. James threw a small celebration, just the 3 of them. Pizza and sparkling cider, Ethan giving a very serious speech about how Maya was the best partner Dad could have asked for. "Hear, hear," James said, raising his glass, his eyes on Maya in a way that made her pulse quicken. They started taking on bigger projects, hiring a full-time assistant and 2 junior architects. The firm was thriving. But with success came complications. A prestigious firm in Seattle reached out, offering Maya a senior position with an impressive salary and high-profile projects. It was the kind of opportunity she'd dreamed about years ago. She didn't want it. The realization should have been relief, but instead it was terrifying. When had this place, this chaotic, imperfect, wonderful place, become more important than her ambitions? When had James's smile become the best part of her day? When had Ethan's hug started feeling like coming home? "You're quiet today," James observed during a site visit. Ethan was at school, and they were alone, reviewing structural plans for the community center. Just thinking, Maya said. About? She could deflect. Keep it professional. But she was tired of hiding. About how much has changed in a year, she said carefully. When I took this job, I was running from something. Now I feel like I'm running towards something, but I'm not sure what. James set down his clipboard, giving her his full attention. Maya, I got a job offer, she interrupted. Seattle. Senior architect position. Double my current salary. His face went carefully blank. That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm not taking it. You should consider it. That's a huge opportunity. I don't want it, Maya said firmly. I want to be here. She stopped herself. With the firm. The projects. What we're building. Maya. James's voice was strained. You can't make career decisions based on loyalty to me. You need to do what's best for you. This is what's best for me. The words came out more passionate than she intended. For the first time in my life, I'm not just working to prove something. I'm working because I love what I do and who I do it with. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything they weren't saying. Who you do it with? James repeated quietly. Yes. Maya, I need to tell you something. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she'd come to recognize as nervous. I'm your boss. Technically your business partner, but still. There's a power dynamic, and I would never want you to feel pressured. James, Maya interrupted. Just say it. He met her eyes. I have feelings for you. Real, complicated, terrifying feelings. I didn't mean for it to happen. I told myself it was inappropriate, and that I was projecting, and that you deserved someone without my baggage. But then you'd smile at Ethan, or challenge my design, or stay late talking about architecture and dreams. And I'd think maybe, possibly I was allowed to want this. Maya's heart was racing. You're allowed. Am I? His voice was raw with hope and fear. Because I come with complications. A kid who's already attached to you. A dead wife I'll always love. A business that consumes too much time. I'm not an easy choice. Good thing I don't like easy, Maya said, stepping closer. James, I'm falling in love with you. With both of you. I didn't plan it, but I'm not sorry about it either. You're falling in love with us, he repeated, as if testing the words. Yes, even though we're a package deal. Even though Ethan will always come first. Even though. Maya kissed him. It was soft and certain, and tasted like coffee and possibility. When they broke apart, James was staring at her with wonder. I should have done that more smoothly, Maya said, suddenly nervous. That was perfect, James whispered. Then he kissed her back, and it was everything gentle and fierce and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, James rested his forehead against hers. Ethan's going to be insufferable, he murmured. He's been asking when I'm going to ask you to be my girlfriend since month 2. Maya laughed. He's a smart kid. The smartest. James pulled back slightly, his expression turning serious. Maya, I mean it about the complications. Dating a single parent isn't like normal dating. Good thing I don't want normal, Maya said. I want real. Messy, imperfect, beautiful real. 6 months later, the community center opened to the public. Maya and James stood in the main hall, watching as families explored the space they'd created together. Children ran through the art rooms. Seniors tested the accessible kitchen. Teenagers examined the music practice spaces. We did good work, James said quietly, his hand finding Maya's. We did, she agreed. Maya, Dad. Ethan ran up, towing a reluctant teenager behind him. This is Marcus. He says the music room is cool, but it needs better acoustics. Can you show him the sound panels? As James went into detailed explanation mode, Marcus's skepticism turned to genuine interest. Maya watched her partner light up talking about design choices, watched Ethan beam with pride, and felt a wave of contentment wash over her. This was her life now. Not perfect, but real. That evening, at James's house, which had gradually become their house, Maya helped Ethan with a school project while James cooked dinner. "Maya," Ethan said, carefully gluing cardboard pieces, "can I ask you something?" "Always. Are you going to marry my dad?" Maya nearly dropped the glue stick. "Ethan, it's okay if you don't know yet," Ethan said quickly. "But I hope you do. Because you make him really happy. And you make me really happy. And I think we make you happy too, right?" "So happy," Maya said, her throat tight. "You both make me so happy." "Good." Ethan nodded, satisfied. "Then you should probably stay forever." From the kitchen, James called out, "Ethan, are you proposing on my behalf?" "Someone has to," Ethan yelled back. "You're being too slow." Maya laughed, her eyes stinging with happy tears. "For the record, I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" Ethan asked seriously. Maya held out her pinky. "Promise." They hooked fingers, and Maya realized that a year ago, she'd been running from failure. Now she was running towards something better than she'd ever imagined. Because sometimes the job interview is just the beginning of the story. And sometimes the best things in life come with complications, complete with an 8-year-old matchmaker who knows exactly what his family needs. 1 year later, the same conference room where Maya first met Ethan now held a small gathering. Friends, family, and a few key clients filled the space, decorated with Claire's photographs, James's way of honoring the past while embracing the future. Ethan stood on a chair, wearing a tiny suit, holding a ring box like it contained the crown jewels. "Dad wanted to do this at a fancy restaurant," Ethan announced to the assembled crowd. "But I told him it should be here, where it all started. Because Maya didn't run away when I crashed her interview. And that's when I knew she was the one." James, standing beside Maya, squeezed her hand. "He's not wrong." "Speech, speech," someone called out. James laughed nervously, then turned to Maya. "I had this whole thing planned. Something eloquent about architecture and foundations and building a life together. But honestly, the truth is simpler." He took the ring box from Ethan, who jumped down to stand beside them. "Maya, you walked into my chaotic life and made it better. You didn't just stay when things got weird. You made the weird parts wonderful. You're my partner in every way that matters." He knelt down. Ethan knelt beside him in solidarity and opened the box. "Will you marry us?" James asked. "Both of us?" Ethan added. "Because it's a package deal." Maya looked at the two faces staring up at her with identical hopeful expressions, and she laughed through her tears. "Yes," she said. "To both of you. Always yes." The room erupted in applause as James stood and kissed her, as Ethan wrapped his arms around both their legs, as their little found family became official. Because love doesn't always arrive during a blind date or a chance meeting. Sometimes it arrives during a bizarre job interview, carried by an 8-year-old boy brave enough to believe that the right person wouldn't leave when things got complicated. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they stay. If this story warmed your heart, subscribe for more tales about unexpected love and found families. Drop a comment about your own bizarre interview moment, and share this with someone who needs to remember that the best things in life are worth the complications. See you in the next one.